Welcome to the Business Women Australia podcast show, the podcast that brings together industry leaders to discuss the latest trends, insights and strategies. So sit back and relax. Let's get inspired by the amazing women who are shaping the future of professional women in Australia. Welcome to the Business Women Australia podcast show. I am your host, Leanne Jeffery. And today I have the privilege of hosting a really amazing guest who I've just said I didn't know if I could do a great enough intro for her. And our guest today is Maree Gooch from Value Creators. So welcome, Maree.
Welcome. Thank you. Thanks for having me. I feel very privileged.
So for those who don't know, Maree is a very highly experienced business coach. She specialises in business and industry transformation, turnaround change management, and you've got a particular passion for, focusing on the agricultural industry, which is great because you actually have a bit of a farming background with my in-laws. Yes. So you're after for facilitation, strategic planning and expertise coupled with many years of experience as an entrepreneur across several industries, and you've worked across numerous industry sectors, plus advising, training, supporting across government and the public sector and the community. Not to fail to mention, you've been on multiple boards and you put your stamp on a lot of things. And today we get to discuss how you help people to play to their strengths, which is
Thanks, Leanne. I'm really I'm thrilled to be here, and I'm actually going to put it out there, and no one has paid me for this. I'm actually thrilled and really privileged to have been a Business Women Australia member for many years. So, gosh, I can't remember, maybe 6 years. So I'm really pleased, and I love all that you do, and sharing about lots of other interesting people around Australia so that we can all learn and grow and maybe learn one little snippet from each of these things that we do, or an event that we might attend that Business Women Australia are holding. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, I always say, I've got this great job where I get to be with so many amazing, intelligent women, and every time I walk away, I've learned something new. And there's not many jobs where you get to talk to so many people, and we get to take a bit of a piece away with you today. And I was really surprised because when you sent through your information, you were saying that 67% of jobs in STEM are held by men. So we've got so far for the women in our industry to really push through. And like a lot of the barriers, we were saying it's your cultural bias, your geographical location and connectivity and employment. So, the facts that you've already sent through today have been mind-blowing. So we're going to discuss on how we can help these women play to their strengths. So first thing I'd like to know is, what does it mean to actually play to your strengths?
A great question. Thank you. So I think an easy way to explain it is when you are doing something that you love and you are playing to your strengths, it's easy. So you feel comfortable. It's not difficult. You're not procrastinating about anything. And procrastination can sometimes be caused by I'm stuck, or I don't know what to do, or I just not sure sort of thing. So if we actually understand what we're good at and then play to our strengths, of course, understanding some of the things that we might need to work on, but not focus on the negative, but actually focus on the positive and play to our strengths, the magic happens. And we attract positivity. We can choose to be positive, but we also attract it. And then others want to be around us as well. Not, we won't go into introvert and extrovert and all that sort of thing, but it's actually part of feeling good about what you do and then doing what you do really well, because that's when the magic actually happens.
And you've also said, how women with playing to their strengths, they also typically wait until they're perfect.
Yes.
Before we do anything. And we see that so much.
Being guilty, speak to lots of people who just feel that they need to be perfect. I think that we need to maybe take a leaf out of some men's books and have a go. and not wait until we're perfect. So some women, if they had a go at feeling at 65% ready or even 75% ready, then it might be why not sort of thing. Don't wait until you're perfect. So I think there has been some research done, and men will have a go when they're 50% or 60% ready, and they'll just have a go at it. And they're not winging it, but they've got the confidence to, some might be winging it, but they have the confidence to just have a go. So I think for women and women in business, or women aspiring, or even thinking about business, or even studying, right, getting through high school, have a go anyway. Look for opportunities and take them when they're presented. And don't be the one holding the door in the line, be the one in the front 10 of the line. And I think it's something that we can do really subtly, and it's about increasing our own confidence, and it's a choice that we're making. So you might have heard the saying, feel the fear and do it anyway. Or if you're acting confident, then you will become confident. And sometimes things like affirmations can actually help get you over the line, or even, doing the Wonder Woman pose. And if you're not sure what that is, everybody Google it. Wonder Woman, new movie done recently. But you're standing with your hands on your hips, feet are shoulder width apart, tummy tucked in, backside tucked in, and just breathe 3 times, and then kind of step into the space where you're going. You can step into a feeling of confidence. So this was not meant to be sort of tips and ideas about things, this podcast, but it just might help someone. And just try it. It's really quite enlightening and empowering.
I love a good Wonder Woman pose. And it's one of those things, we instill in our children about having a go and just being present and doing it. And then when it comes to us, we feel like, no, we've got to be top of our game. We've got to push forward. We need to do this. But I think, if everyone's got a bit of a Wonder Woman pose, we can, everything else can be learnt.
It can. The other thing is, find the people that will help support you and elevate you. And I'm talking men and women here. Some of the best mentors I've ever had have been men. It wasn't a formal arrangement. However, I remember being on my first board, I was tapped on the shoulder by an older man, and like 20 years older than me, I was in my early 30s. And I said, why me? And he said, why not you? I said, I've got 3 kids. I was running a farm. I was a farmer for nearly 25 years, hands-on. And I just thought, oh, my gosh, I'm in the community. I haven't got room for this. He said, I actually think you'll bring value. And I was a bit flattered. Thought, is my ego getting in the way? Okay, why has he identified this? Anyway, put in my CV. I actually got the board role. And it was a paid board role, so even better. And I was on that board for 11 years and I learned a lot. I went and did the Australian Institute of Company Directors course, and learned a lot about budgets. It was up to $26 million budget, which was a fair bit, and all with 3 kids and running a business and all that sort of thing. So the juggle that sometimes can be challenging for us, men and women, and women trying to do it all, I think be organised is a key of that. And for those that know me, I have organised chaos, I'll be honest. But I do know where things are, and I managed to get the jobs done. But I do need other people to help me. And I think the smartest thing I've ever done, and it did take me a while to get here in the last 20 years, have been to surround myself with clever people that feed me energy and I bounce off. And whether it's those that help with strategy or it's those that do the detail, the sum of all of us is better than just one. And I'm very much about, I heard recently, let's make the pie bigger than trying to slice up the pie and have a piece of it. But let's make the pie bigger so that we can all have access to those pieces. So, yeah, a little bit about
the pie analogy I came across was one of my very first things I heard in Business Women Australia. And, because, everyone's like, oh, everybody's competing. And it's like, everyone's like, no, we make the pie bigger. And, you realize when you're with people who can add a few extra eggs, a bit more flour and make that pie bigger, it really brings out the best in everyone, because everyone's giving to help bring more, and we can take more. And that was one of my favourite analogies I heard, and it's stuck with me since I've been in Business Women Australia. So how do you, and of course, value creators, how do you help people play to their strengths?
Well, my colleague Maree O'Callaghan and I, she's also a member of Business Women Australia, we worked together. We actually met you at UWA, University of Western Australia, doing an executive MBA in 2009. And we just clicked and connected. And we worked together sort of 2010, 11 onwards. And then in 2018, we had been doing our own sort of small business thing, one-man band, one-woman band. And then we kept finding that we felt that we could do something better if we were together. So we started Value Creators. And part of that was initially was to identify areas for personal growth. Value Creators has 3 pillars that it aligns with, which is personal or people, business and industry, which then flows into community and makes that pie bigger that we were talking about. So we were very fortunate. A friend of Anne-Marie's was a psychologist, and she introduced us to the strength profile report, and we use it in our workshops and in our online learning. So it's a tool, and we outsource it. It's a tool, and it's from the Langley Group. People will do a survey. It will come back and it shows their strengths and areas for maybe areas they can work on. I'm streamlining it right down. So we actually do a lot of work helping deconstruct really complex things for people and for business and for industry, and then we help build it back up again in a really simplified way. So we found this tool really helpful, and I think there's probably been one person that says, oh, I don't know if it's me, sort of thing. And of course there's algorithms, and there's thousands of people have done this strength profile report from around the world. But most often, and we do a debrief, so the debrief is actually a really critical part of this, so that people understand that they don't put their own cognitive bias onto the results of the report. To understand what you're good at, to understand your realised strengths, and then maybe your unrealised strengths, which is kind of like the magic and the fairy dust that I speak about. There are learned behaviours, and there are, I call it the red section, because I've actually got a bit of a problem with the word weakness, because I think it's quite negative. However, to note and in the context, so to understand what you're good at and really play to those strengths is pretty awesome. And then the unrealised strengths, almost like giving you permission to spread your wings and fly a little bit more, or sprinkle some fairy dust on the whatever it is. So we combine that with goal setting, and we're really, some people like goals and some people don't, but we help people think about what's your vision, your end game, whether it's your career or your business. And then, where do you want to go, how you're going to get there, set goals, and we help work people through that. But always play to your strengths. So when you set a goal and you put it out there as well, dreams are dreams, but goals become, firmer. And you tell people about them. It's quite amazing how that magic can happen, and others can help you achieve your goals. And then we combine what we do with mentoring. So a lot of our programs are attached, have a mentor attached. We have a lot of people provide pro bono support. So STEM Jumpstart is a program that we've been running for young rural women. It was funded by the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet's Office for Women. We're so excited to get that. We're running 10 workshops around Western Australia, so from Kununurra, Karratha, Kalgoorlie, Albany and in between. We're halfway through, and we've had 120 young, incredibly talented young women come through the program. And, for us, I think Western Australia is in very good hands if we keep them here. But we help them and they understand what they're good at. They actually understand that STEM is science, technology, engineering and maths. It's across everything. And we do it with sort of an ag or natural resource management focus, because that's an area that we are particularly passionate about. So STEM's in computing, STEM's in electronics, STEM's in cooking, science, food science, it's in dietitian, STEM's in it's not just building bridges and roads, and it's not just white lab coats and petri dishes. So STEM's across everything when you really stop and think about it. So we've found a few people self-selecting in that area, as we, as I mentioned earlier. But when you play to your strengths, and that's what we do, that's when that magic happens, that camaraderie as well, and helping each other.
And I've just, when you talk about, the red section, the weakness, and they come into their unrealized strengths, is that where you will see most of the light bulb moments really happen?
It's quite interesting. So if we think of our strength as we've got talent, we've got our natural talents, and we've all got natural talents. And the journey of our career, or if we've been running a business or something, becomes part of our talent. And then there's investment in ourselves, and might be time focusing on something to do something better. And then that sort of gets you to your strength. So I think, and then you've got the performance, the energy, and then how often do you use them? When we do the debrief, it's there's a lot of smiles, there's a bit of surprise. And this, by the way, is a bit like a balance sheet with your financial statements. It's a snapshot in time. So if you were to do one of these strength profile surveys on the 30th of June in 21, 30th of June 22, 30th of June 23, they might be all the same, or they might be different, because it's a little bit sort of about the energy and where you're at in your headspace as well. So they can be slightly different from time to time. But most people, and I'm smiling here because it's actually really brings me a lot of joy when people go, oh my gosh, this nailed me. This so nailed me. Oh my gosh. So by interpreting, the findings of the report, again with that caveat of don't put too much of your own cognitive bias on it. Our cognitive bias being our background, our culture, our gender, how we got out of bed in the morning, sort of thing. So there's it's quite intricate and complicated. But I guess, yes, the unrealised strengths is the fairy dust and the permission. But the way it works is use your realised and unrealised strengths to help you get up and over the hump of something that you might find challenging, whether it's public speaking, or whether it's planning for an event, or making a journey of something. So you can use one of those strength areas to help you. My key strength is legacy projects. And I can't help myself that everything I go into is like, okay, what's the long game? What's the end game? And what am I going to leave behind after I'm gone, whether I'm gone from this earth or gone from this organisation? So, and I can't help myself. But the other side of that is I have to sometimes peg it back a bit because I can overuse it. So it's just really, I find it really fascinating and interesting. And if I may indulge me, people that play to their strengths have increased output by around 36%. So that was a global study of the Corporate Leadership Council of about 20,000 people across multiple organisations. So when they play to their strength, their performance rose by 36%. When they focused on their weaknesses, their performance dropped by 27%. So if you're in business and you're paying someone $100,000 a year and their performance could be 10, 20, 30% better, imagine that impact to the business, yours or whoever it is, but also, what's going on around you and the people. We have greater satisfaction in our work and home lives. We are more joyous, we are more happy, we are more positive. And let's face it, we've all been through a hell of a thing with the pandemic that now appears to be everybody's normal again. And I think maybe think of your strength as the wind in your sails, as the uplifting, sort of get you to where you need to go in a gentle way. And it's a bit of a no-brainer.
Yeah, and when we talk also about how women tend to wait until they're perfect, imagine if they just went forward knowing what their strengths were.
Yeah, I personally think every child, boy, girl, everybody should have this in when they're about 10 years old. And we've run these programs with teenagers. We've run them with just women in events. We've run them with men and women. And I think everybody, not just women, can do with understanding what they're good at and playing to their strengths. It's not as definitive, I suppose, as say a 360 or an LSI, which are quite detailed, and sometimes there's some pretty brutal feedback given in those 360s. This is a lot gentler, and it's a lot more fun, it's a lot more positive, and it's a choice that you make whether you want to be involved as well. And it does flow through. And when we do, so say for the STEM Jumpstart program or one of our farm business resilience planning programs or one of the others, we've got Upstart, which is for young men and women sort of 18 plus. And we'll do that, and then we'll help them with negotiation, and then we'll help them with building resilience and bouncing back and how do you do all that sort of thing. And we bring them back to remember what your strengths are so that you can help, when you need to develop that resilience or, whatever else it is that you might do. There.
Now, when we decided to come and do this podcast, I obviously looked through your website and I thought, how on earth are you going to find time to jump on with me? Because Value Creators run a lot of workshops, and you really do it across quite a field. Because like you said, you've got individual, you've got business, you've got industry. Tell me about some of the workshops that you do run.
Well, first and foremost, we have an incredible team. We have up to 14 people who will step in and step out to help us help others. And our strongest sort of mission, I suppose, is to help others help themselves. So once you get the people right, the business is stronger, and then it goes to industry, and then it goes to community. We do juggle multiple roles. We have, as I mentioned, Anne-Marie, my colleague, Lauren Schutz, Jo Sims, Sarah Lang, Lucy Anderton, to name a few. And these are all, apart from Lauren, regionally based women who work with us with good connectivity, thank goodness, and many others. So we often find gems of people, or they find us and say, hey, how can we come work with you? So what we often do is get them to come through one of our programs, which might be STEM Jumpstart or Farm Business Resilience Planning Program, which we did in WA in the Northern Territory. Could be Upstart, could be Turning Point. So that's a one-day program where you might be at the crossroads of life, wanting to get back into a career, wanting to get out of a career, wanting to retire, wanting to, have a change of job, personal stuff going on. So it's a one-day workshop that we bring everyone together, and there's a bit of prep beforehand. And it's working through and it's goal setting, and then you get the support afterwards. So, we juggle a few different things, but we have an incredible team of people. And I said earlier that I've surrounded myself by clever people. I wouldn't be able to do half the things I do. My family are amazing. They are very supportive. They can't let me go a little bit, a lot. And I have 3 grown-up children, and my husband been married 33 years. So they kind of let me go a bit. But, keep me grounded. Don't you worry about that. They keep me very grounded. And, yes, when I need reminding of being grounded, they certainly do that.
And how do you find that you actually, I mean, you've mentioned your family and we know you're with Value Creators. You're also a board member. You personally have a lot of roles in life as well. And how do you find that you juggle it?
I think I just do. Occasionally I'll fall in a heap, and my weekends are very precious to regroup. I try very hard my family is really important to me, and my friends. And often it's not the friends that I live close to. My friends are far and wide. So a lot of what I do is actually, via connectivity or my phone. I think in my early 20s, I used to work for what's now Tourism WA, and I was juggling multiple roles within a role, and I became adept at juggling. It's almost project management or mini project management, and I think I would call what I've had a portfolio career. So a bit of this and a bit of this and a bit of this. But I also am really stimulated by that. So I feel like a butterfly sometimes, where I'll flutter here and flutter there, and that's where the business coaching is so fantastic. Is that I can butterfly in and help a business tighten things up or make lots of money or whatever, and then that's great, leave them to it, can pop back in again in 12 months' time if they need it, or so, and then go on to the next one. So I do I'm stimulated by new things, and I'm stimulated and like to bed down the get it right, or help them get it right, which was my aha moment. I decided what I wanted to do when I grew up, aged 43, by the way. So, for those of you that have got kids who are figuring out which way's up, give them a little bit of space and time and let them do a few different things. I think I've had 20 jobs in my career, my portfolio career, and I wouldn't be where I am today or be able to help others help themselves in career and business if I hadn't had all those different roles. I'm very fortunate that I get asked to MC events or help facilitate. I am experienced in facilitation and I do like it. So I love running meetings, and I'm fortunate to work with Family Business Australia, 2 groups once a month, and facilitate their meetings for a half-day session, and I'm surrounded by quite incredible people. So I could pinch myself really that I get to do all these great things. But I do have my friends keep me very grounded. My family keep me very grounded. I have got to the point in the last 12 months where I've chosen to let go of a particular project which was consuming more time than I had. So, and my health did actually falter a bit. So I had to make some decisions, and I've made those decisions now, and I feel better for it. The great thing is that part of what I do is find a successor, and in the project. So that's that legacy of, what's going to happen in the future, and you need a successor. So I found that. So I'm really pleased to be stepping back, and I feel incredibly grateful and energised. And I've just had a little week holiday in the sunshine, so I'm really I'm pretty relaxed at the moment. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and could you tell me? I'm probably putting you on the spot a little bit here, but you talk about your legacy projects, and even personally, I'm currently trying to push for my own little legacy with my kids' school. And but is there one that really stands out that you're really happy, that you're proud of, that's your legacy to leave behind?
I actually think, if I may, there's a couple of things. My amazing kids, they're way better than me. I get a bit emotional. They really are quite outstanding in their own way. There was a program that I was involved with on that first board called the Grow Zone, and it was a mentoring program that brought in, I worked with the amazing Dee Roche and Dr. Katie Tyndall, who were part of BWA Business School then, and they helped, the Rural Business Development Corporation was that board, they helped set up the Grow Zone and worked with us for 2 years, and then I took it on as the champion director, and then actually started a not-for-profit, was the CEO for a while. So it's about 5 years. We know that the people that have gone through that program increased their business outcomes and profits considerably, and I have got the data to back up that it's made a difference to regional Western Australia of about an input of $32 million. So I'm really, really proud of that. Well, not just me, there was a whole raft of people involved in that, including the Department of Agriculture and Food, including board members of that not-for-profit who had been mentees in the program. So everybody was paying it forward. And that in itself, that paying it forward brings me a lot of joy. And so there's that. And then value creators. So it took us a long time to come up with the name of what we wanted. And value creators was raised and went, yep, that's it. That's what we want to do. What does it mean? And if you look at our logo, it looks like a tennis ball or a ball of string and a rolling stone gathers no dust gathers no moss sort of thing. But the bouncing balls are the epitome of that butterfly that I spoke about earlier. But also it can roll and it can stop and it can be and it can glow. And value creators is something that Anne-Maree and I have worked hard at. We set our vision in the beginning of what we wanted to achieve, and we had a 10-year plan or a 20-year plan. And here we are 5 years in, and we're not there yet. And it is a sort of dynamic, moving legacy project, I suppose. But it's about the good that's been brought to many, I think, and the empowerment that we might be able to help others do better for themselves, which is people helping themselves. Thank you.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. And ultimately, we talk about, your legacies and what you want to be remembered for. And, we can see how much, obviously, your kids mean to you. And we can talk about all the business side, but what do you think you'd want your kids to remember you for?
Laughing. We pulled our kids out of school, so it's a bit of a story here. We pulled our kids out of school in 2008, and they were 6, 9, and 12 at the time. They're mid and late 20s now. And we drove around Australia in a big double-decker bus. And it was fitted out like a Winnebago. It was pretty awesome. And we travelled 35,000 kilometres in almost 10 months. And it was kind of during a school year. And so we learnt a lot about each other, 5 chiefs in 45 square metres of living space. But we had Australia as our living space as well. Anyway, we learnt to laugh a lot. And since then, whenever we get together, we laugh a lot. And I think the lightheartedness, my husband and I, we don't always agree on things and bringing up kids, but we always agreed in front of the kids. And one of my kids actually said, "Mum, you let us go, you let us go, you let us go," and then you just yank that Blackie band every now and again and pull us back into line, or you set the guardrails and they're there, sort of thing. I won't say our kids have had everything that they've ever wanted, but they've had, they've been lucky, and I think laughter is laughter and joy.
Beautiful. And we're coming to the end now, and one of the things you said, in everything that you've given me, is that the opportunities are abound for women, and it's about changing mindset and education to be more interesting to women. And
I did. Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say, and I've left this till last because, growing up, I'm now, my mid-40s, and, there's had to be a lot of mindset change around everything I've done. And, you said you started growing up at 43. I was 44. Yeah. And I'm only 45 now. So there's still a lot to learn. And I think, the great feedback that you've given about people playing to their strengths, knowing that they've got this unrealized resource of their own to tap into still is phenomenal. And just, it's just great that we do have people like yourself and Anne-Maree and value creators really helping, women, bringing them to the light of STEM to realize that they don't need to be in a lab coat. It's actually a lot of fun as well as educational. And I just want to say, I really appreciate you taking the time to bring that out, because it is so valuable for us to learn.
Thank you. I do think there are incredible opportunities for women. Harvard research recently said that 42 is the average age of entrepreneurs. So it seems we get to a particular age and then go, oh, wow, let's do this. I do think it's about changing mindset, and for women to change mindset. We don't have to be all things to all people. And the other smartest thing I did was actually not soon enough, was to not try and be all things. Even in my family, I was trying to be Wonder Woman and whatever at home and stuff, and then there's an expectation that you can just keep doing that. So whether it's at home, at work, in the community, in the school, in the the local swimming club, whatever it is. And the other smart thing I did was actually ask my husband and my family to help me and friends to help me. And they'd offered. I was just a bit slow on the uptake to pick up on it. So I think it's about changing our own mindset. I do think it's about changing education, the delivery, so that going back to STEM and all things, I have a Cert 4 in training and assessment. And one of the key things was to, if someone doesn't understand something first, then try again to explain it, and again until they get it. And that's a thing in the vet sector that is done well, instead of talking at someone like you might at a lecture. Or a different workshop. So it's that inclusivity and that showing the way, which is what we do at Value Creators. It's all about adult learning principles. But I think if we were to change, even using STEM as the example, to be more interesting to girls and women, there would be more girls and women focusing on STEM subjects at university and STEM careers. I did some research, and girls, I'll say, have a reset at about 11 or 12 years old. Then they'll have another one at about 14. And I can back this up with the research. And then so by the time they're heading into senior school, they might not be interested in STEM because it's been purely delivered in a particular way that's boring or just not meaningful to them. So if our teaching and our educators could change that delivery ever so slightly to be more palatable and interesting to all students, not just, boys are focused on often, very big generalisation, often focus on, spreadsheets and stuff like that. I know incredible women who are doing amazing things. They're building bridges and they're building buildings, and they're focusing on the microscope and the lab coat, and they're growing crops as well. But I think it's one step at a time. So if we understand our strengths, coming back to the whole topic of the podcast, is we understand what we're good at, play to our strengths, and do something that you love, it won't be a job. It will just be a joy to be and do. And the fact that you might pay it forward to someone else as well along the way, happy days.
It's the way the world could work wonders is we all just paid that one thing forward.
Yep.
Thank you so much for taking time to come and have a chat with me, and for being such an amazing part of Business Women Australia. I know Lynn and I love you beyond words for everything that you bring to the community, and you always bring a wealth of knowledge, and we appreciate you beyond words.
Thank you. I'm very privileged to be invited.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.